I'm ZoinkMeister Adam, joined by ZoinkMeister Patrick, and you're back watching more Inside for the PC.
Spooky time.
Wow.
So now here we are at the beginning of the game. But first thing we're going to do is go to the chapter select. So we're going to start right on over, which I think is an important part of this.
Yeah, so first off, where is this kid coming from?
Yeah, so the rocks to the left, we don't know, right? I mean, it's just, he just falls in and you just start moving and you don't really have any other course of action. But we can go ahead and load in so you can see.
What are we seeing?
What?
What are we seeing?
Oh, sorry, just go to the load screen is what I meant. That you can see these are all the chapters, so you just flip through them. So I remember I said at the beginning of this game, like, it's hard to tell where the chapters are, but like in retrospect, when you look at them, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that was kind of its own puzzle. But yeah, you can go and look at that load screen. That's like, it's nice. I imagine really a lot of that is because we're on PC, but like, it's not. It's well done. So this hatch is incredibly hard to find.
Yeah. You think it'll already be open because we already opened it once?
No, I think it's gonna be closed again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm never gonna make that noise again. I think we've already passed it.
Yeah.
Yes, we definitely have. It is really hard to find. It is like slightly hidden, I think. I think it's right here though, in this area.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. There's that little clearing in there. That's when you do it. So real quick, if you go left before we go right, you'll see here, this room is where we got that orb.
The orb.
Yes. So we did that off camera because I didn't want to spoil this area. So you see here, there's a door and a lock on the door. So real quick, be completely silent and touch that. So do you hear it makes different noises?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, after the REC sign, when we went down this ladder and we found one of the orbs, there was a stereograph there. And you said, oh, is this some sort of like audio file I can open up? And I said, no, it's probably just flavor thing, whatever. That plays notes out of it in a particular order. And you have to memorize/write down those notes.
Oh, my.
And also find a second stereograph later in the game that I don't remember if we saw or not. I don't think so. We didn't point it out for sure. And then play those two sequences back to back to open the store.
Do you have those sequences written down somewhere?
I'm going to just look it up because it is absolutely ridiculous that is the requirement. I don't know how anyone figured that out. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's like so quiet. Like you heard how quiet that was.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to look up secret ending code.
Because that is so, it's like, oh man. I mean, there's not much noise in this game to begin with. Like you can hear like the scuffling. Yeah, but it's just like, oh man.
All right, you ready for this?
I guess.
Okay, so it's seven notes each. So the first set is up, up, right, left, right, right, right. Next sequence is up, 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 right, left, left, left. There it is.
That's so specific. How does that even work in this, like, in the universe of this game itself?
I have no clue. It is the weirdest thing ever. But this is very, very important to the whole everything that's going on. So, I will let Adam discover
the final ending.
The final ending to Playdead's Inside. And this whole area is very, very interesting. So it's very dark, for one thing.
I'm gonna ink.
Well, I mean,
it's very dark.
Don't we all? We're going a long ways.
It just keeps going.
Yeah. Never stops. Never stops. Wow, this is.
I know. It's really going.
I didn't expect this hallway to be this long. All right, here we are.
Oh, and this is like a man-made bunker.
Do you see that in the background?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a mind control machine, but it's
hooked up to
several wires to all the
yellow wires. It looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of screens.
Yeah.
And a chair with no one in it.
Yellow.
And here's a yellow cable plugged into the wall. And look at the boy. The thing turned off in the background, but look at the boy and what he's doing.
Oh.
Very significant.
He's brainless.
Uh-huh. And that is the secret ending to Inside.
Wow.
Yes.
So he was being controlled by someone the whole time.
He was, yeah. And you knew that the entire time.
Because it was me.
Because it was you. That's why there's no one in the chair. Because you're connected to the game through wires.
Wow.
In your controller. We are actually wired in through a controller. We're not playing this wirelessly, which would suck because that would defeat the whole purpose of this ending. But no, we are wired connected. We'll just leave it on this screen because this is a screen where we have the intro and the outro.
Yeah.
But this is it. This is it. You can just put it.
Oh, I'm wired in. Hold on. Let me. Oh man, I think I pulled my wires a little too hard.
So this is it. This is the time. If anyone has their own interpretation of the game, I highly encourage you to write it down in the comments like now before we talk about our interpretations, just because I would love to hear what people thought of this. And I don't want, try to avoid reading interpretations before you I don't know, I kind of would like you to encourage, because otherwise just listen to us say it, and then you can look up, what the real one is or whatever, if it exists. But I highly encourage anyone who has not looked into it too much and just this experience and what you felt and just kind of what you've gotten from it. Because I feel like that's kind of what made this game so special for a lot of people, is the amount of secrets that feel like they're there and feel like they give you a lot of hints as to what's going on. And there's a lot of things that I can't explain and I don't know, and I don't even know if they have an explanation, but big picture stuff, I think there's a lot you can get out of this game. So now that I've said that, if you've not paused to write your thing and come back, then that was your chance. So Adam, what do you think? How much can you tell us about Inside? What did you get out of this?
This game was so cool. So this game, right? Inside. From start to finish, they absolutely pull with your whatever you think is going to happen. They're putting you on your head, right?
Yeah.
I thought I was running from something. I'm not. I'm running towards something.
Yes.
I was trying to get inside.
Yes. Now, did you notice a big mechanic that played in this game that I think was used better? Literally, this is the only time in any video game that they've used the medium, as far as I can think of, to the advantage of the game, which is this game was 2.5D. The whole game, you only had the direction of going towards or away.
Yeah.
You could not deviate from your path. But that bled into the story in that we find out at the end that you have a very, very fixed goal.
Yeah.
And it makes it seem like, especially since the boy at the end slumped over, he was, to some degree, not really fully human.
Yeah.
Which means that the fact that this game was 2D and only able to go left and right, what if that wasn't the case at all? It's just the boy could not go left or right,
So what, I'm just going to...
His left or right.
Flop it all out, right?
Go for it.
The objective was to get the blob out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The boy is being mind controlled.
Yes.
We are mind controlling the boy.
Yes.
That is the objective of the game. You don't question it because whenever, and honestly, me specifically, I'm trying to go to school to be a software engineer, but before that I wanted to design games, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of those beautiful things where the overarching meta of video games is that you go left and right because you're supposed to. What else would you do?
Right.
But everything you see and you experience in a game, you think you have the freedom of choice, but that's not real.
Yes.
You don't actually have the freedom of choice. When you say, "Oh, I did this in this game," it's like, well, what else would you gonna? What were you gonna do? You have the perception of choice, but really you have whatever limited choices whatever developer or programmer did. Right.
And this game leans into that very well in a lot of scenes. The number of scenes where I told you this puzzle has 2 pieces to it, right? And the fact that the game is just that, where you're like, "Oh, I solved the puzzle." It's like, no, the puzzle solved you. There's only one way to do it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. You make it think like, oh yeah, I solved this. I'm so big brain, so it's just a big wrinkly, foreskin on in my skull. And it's like, and it's like, no, man, you did what was supposed to happen.
Right.
So
this is a very tailored experience. Right. Yeah. There's not much room for, other than getting the orbs, which was sort of the only choice you could make. Which we'll get into that later. But the most important part is for the major parts of the game, you were very limited. In fact, you had almost no choice as far as moving forward and getting to the blob and all that. Yeah.
So, but that isn't that you actually had, it's not that, it's like, oh, I have to go left because I have to go, or I have to go left and right because I have to go left and right. It's fitting in with the narrative that the boy has no option either.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
yes.
What I'm getting at
is
that the blob is trying to mind control people to get him out.
Yes.
And we were the ones mind controlled. Us, the buyer of this video game in the real world was the one mind controlled. And when you plopped the game, you're doing the objective.
Yes.
Not even realizing it because you're already being mind controlled. That's
you don't
the
even
meta
know.
of it.
You don't even know what your objective is until you get inside.
The very end of the game.
Basically
you
the end.
Know until you still don't know until after.
Yeah.
Once you become the blob and you escape and you make it outside.
Yes. Then you realize that your goal was to escape.
Yeah, this was the point all along.
Yeah, but it turned out that but even though you didn't know what you were doing, you were still servicing that goal the entire time that you played the game.
Yeah. In real life, this would never happen. This would never happen. If you would never do all this without any objective. It's just not within anything's nature.
Nobody just starts running and then just keeps going and then solves random puzzles that are in front of them.
And you could say oh yeah, I'm adventurous. If I saw a tomb, well, this isn't a tomb. This kid literally
he broke in past zombies and stuff.
Yeah, no, this is way beyond having any kind of objective, and then it's a child too, right?
Yeah.
What's the point of having a child do it? Whereas you clearly see other dead bodies and stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's maybe others have failed, right?
Well, so
consistently.
Yeah.
So this worked. You were the objective. The blob got out using you as the medium to do that.
Yes.
Not you as the medium as the boy. You as the medium as the player. ZoinkMeister Adam, ZoinkMeister Patrick is the medium in which the blob used to escape.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to drive home.
Yeah.
And that is fantastic. I'm talking
now.
Chef's butthole.
I have to ask, because you said before we started this that you knew the ending and you knew the secret ending. Did you know that was the game? Did you know that you, the player, were being controlled? All that thing that you just said.
No.
Okay, you did not put that together?
I know.
I was hoping that you hadn't, because that's that's the thing that this game is you're getting, there's a lot of other stuff to cover that we can cover in this game, but that's definitely, you're getting the probably the most fascinating one as far as game development goes. And, the reason why this game is so famous and considered one of the greatest games of all time and all that is because this specific point of the your connection to the game is stronger than it could ever possibly be in any other game. The game, you are the game.
You are. This is, I don't know how to say this besides, this is the most simplistic form of maybe misdirection, where every time you buy a game, you don't realize you can say oh, I wanted to play this game, or I wanted to do this and that. And your choice up until when you plop it in and decide to play is your choice. Yeah. But as soon as you decide to sit down and you're playing the game, your choices are pretty much someone else's experience and ideas, right?
Right.
And this, without any dialogue, without any description, there's nothing. It doesn't tell you anything. It tells you nothing. Right. This is the most pure form of that, right?
It never tells you what to do, ever.
It never tells you what to do.
There's no UI, no dialogue, no one talks at all.
No one talks. There's no objective.
This is the beginning. We just says Play Dead's Inside, which is the title of the game and the creators of the game. And when you click any button, the boy pops out, and that's it.
That's it. There's nothing. There's no tutorial, because every single tutorial, there is no tutorial, but there's mechanics taught to you.
Yes.
Through example. Yeah. And it's all, but why though? Why? You never ask yourself why. The entire time you'd assume, oh, I'm running away from something. Not because you ponder the philosophical existence of this game, but because within the first couple seconds something happened, right? You're like, oh, I'm being chased, or there's people being hoarded away. What's happening? Yeah. And everything has essentially been creep factor. It's all, oh, I'm nervous, or it's dark, or there's dogs chasing me a second ago. I should probably be on my toes. Yeah. Or it's oh, there's water, and ZoinkMeister Adam specifically is afraid of water, so he's already more tension.
Which, to be fair, even if you're not afraid of water, that was
a lot.
Those are aggressive scenes.
Yeah. And it's
I like water, but those are a lot.
This game keeps you on your toes, and you always think oh, it's because this game is like an action 2D plat. No, it's not. It's just, it keeps you on your toes, but that's almost like misdirection. You're still doing the objective though.
Right.
It's all the objective. You don't even, after the first couple seconds of the entire game, which how long do you think is 2-3 hours?
We've currently been recording for an hour, so this game in total took us about 3.5 hours, I want to say.
So 3 hours the entire journey. Once we started,
I
did not question why we were doing it.
Yeah.
I did not. The only things I questioned is what was the big sound wave, what was happening.
Yeah.
What is the mermaid, right? But those are you still don't care.
Right.
You're not supposed, the boy doesn't care. Right. Because you don't care. You do care. You can question it like I did.
Right.
But you're still doing the objective, right?
Right. It doesn't stop you. It doesn't matter what you think. Yeah. You keep moving forward.
The lore of the entire game is probably super interesting, but that's the point, is that you don't know because that's not your objective.
Right.
Which is just it's such a big meta throw in the face, teabag you over a game of Halo 2 with the boys. It is just so good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, do we want to give review scores now before we kind of get into some of the nitty-gritty interesting points about this game? Or do you want to wait and go over some of the nitty-gritty interesting points of this game and then eventually get around to the score?
Let's do the score at the very end.
Okay. So...
Because I already know what I'm giving it.
I also already know what I want to give it. So, okay, so some of the things that I think are worth pointing out are, for example, especially towards the end. Honestly, towards the beginning of the game, it is unclear. I don't have as many insights as to what could possibly be going on. But especially towards the end, once we become the blob, or even when you get in that room, you kind of get a feel of what's going on. So once you are the blob, you noticed... Well, so for one thing... Remember, I told you had a choice at one point. There's only one choice in this entire game. Well, there's a couple other choices. Again, I don't... So I guess we can kind of get into that, since we talked about choice a lot. But the only choice that's obvious to any player who plays this game, even if you don't do anything other than the main objective...
Is whether to kill the guy?
Yes. So if you stop moving there, if you don't kill him, he'll eventually move out of the way of the window, and you can go through without killing him. That is your choice to kill him. That's why they stop you so heavily there. Now, they don't really teach you to stop beforehand, whereas after that, they do have the worker that you have to stop for in order for him to hit the button.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish they'd done that in reverse order so you knew you had a choice, whereas that, I think, is a little less obvious as the first time you get that choice. But you do have a choice. You can not kill that guy, which makes you wonder, so a big question is, who is that guy? Or what is he supposed to represent?
He seemed important. He was the only one that, for the most part, had, special, I mean, you said it yourself. It's the only time they stopped you. It's the only time they said, okay, ponder this for quite a second, what you're about to do.
Right.
And in my immediate, just with what I pieced together is okay, whatever I am as the blob, whatever all of this is, whatever all the experiments, all the possibly horrific things we've seen.
Yes.
This person seems to be responsible, or is at least at the top of the chain of command.
So here's the thing. A lot of people question the fact that his office seemed to be right next to the cafeteria, which was super weird, but it's clearly a very big office. And also, once you kill him, he's the only one who splatters in blood. Even when you die in the game, you don't blood splatter like that.
Except
that
for
was
the one with the propellers underwater.
There was no blood came out. We split apart, but no blood.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The only blood splatter like that. And blood's a big deal because it's red, and red has been through the whole game the most important color.
The intensity.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think what the game wants you to see in that character is that he was clearly someone important. Clearly, you could see he's the head of this group, or however you want to see it. He seems to represent that. And so by killing him, you have the choice of either forgiving him for what he's done to you and what he's done to all the experiments in that factory, or you kill him and you sort of take revenge for everything that has happened to you as the blob, or to all the other slaves that you were hooked up to.
Seen. Yeah. Because, I mean, whatever's happening there is grotesque, right?
Yes.
Even if you don't count the blobs, there's human brainless slaves that are being pumped in.
Right.
They're being manufactured. There's there's farms of those worms being pumped into people.
That's another thing to get into.
It's a huge... I don't know if this is actually some maybe hidden metaphorical story that's supposed to relate to the big business of people slowly destroying the planet or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It might be. I really don't know. That's more open to interpretation on how you see things.
But something more directly is we should probably talk about anyone who's played Limbo, which is Playdead's other game.
I haven't.
Yeah, he has not. In Limbo, when you walk under these they have little worm nests on the ceiling, and when you walk under them, worms will fall from the ceiling and land on your character's head and cause your character to constantly walk forward. You can't change that. You can only jump. That's your only control. You lose the ability to turn at all. And so the worms here that we saw at the very beginning of the game that were grown in the pigs, I believe are...
The same worms?
Yeah, are supposed to represent, or at least supposed to call to mind, if you played their first game, that you're wondering, okay, why? So that's the first question, right? The first area we walk into, there's a bunch of pigs, and they're all dead, and they're wriggling with worms. We saw a bunch of live pigs, too. Why are there so many dead pigs lying around with worms in them? I think the answer is that is a worm farm, not a pig farm. And they're using those worms to create...
worms to create...
the zombies.
Brainless, yeah.
Yes. So that's the first clue that you wouldn't really pick up. They never really explicitly state it, and I think you have to make that connection to Limbo to even get why that's all happening. So that's one explanation for this game that I've managed to piece together. Past that, other things that are in this game are, for example, I'm trying to think. Well, that was a big one. I remember we even talked about that early on. But towards the end, there's also the fact that, so once you become the blob and something changes, that's very different from everything that happened before that. Mm-hmm. Whereas before that, everyone wanted you dead.
Yeah.
They tried to stop you at all costs. But once you became the blob, they started helping you. And why?
Yeah, that one's a little weird. I'm not really sure what to interpret from that.
Yeah.
Almost what I honestly completely...
There's a couple other hints I want to give you in the same vein, depending on when you get it or not, or what you get out of it. But go ahead and tell me what you're thinking.
So my interpretation, right, is that whatever the blob was, right, I don't know if it was not moving before this.
Yeah.
Whatever. What? Because we couldn't see what change caused everyone to stop doing what they were doing
and come see the blob.
To go see it.
Yes.
To see what was different.
But I will point out that once that change occurred, no one tried to stop the boy either.
Yeah. Nobody. So no one tried to stop the boy. Nothing was. They weren't like what was so different from that moment, right?
Yeah.
Which we can't see. We don't have the insight of trying to of knowing what happened just moments before, or what even the blob is, its creation, or what the point of it was.
Right.
But to the point where I don't know, everyone appeared to everyone feared you. Everyone feared you as the blob.
Yes.
But it was almost like they didn't want you. They wanted you outside. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, so then this brings us to our second point. When we landed outside, there's something incredibly suspicious, which is that we landed exactly where we were shown landing before.
Yeah.
And then once the credits fade away and everything goes to black, the next thing that happens is you're put at the beginning of the game. Does that make you think of anything?
I mean, not being put back at the beginning of the game.
So...
But what is your interpretation of the event?
Here's the thing. I think the idea is that this entire game, from beginning to end, with the exception of what I want to get into next, is a test of the blob. The facility is attempting to see if the blob is smart enough to escape, but it's not really an escape, as it escapes to exactly where they want it to. And then they just recover it and run it again. And every time you die in the game, you actually just get scooped up, and a new boy gets sent in from the beginning. And the game just assumes you figure it up to that point, and they put you in right where you last left off. And you get further and further every time to escaping as the blob. That's my interpretation of the game.
Really?
Yes.
So... That's why they try
to stop you at the beginning, because that's the whole point, is they're trying to like test your intelligence. But at some point you get close enough that they consider it a success, and then they're all just excited to see.
I don't even know if because it's the thing that tricks me, or not tricks me, the thing that makes me that almost I don't know, messes with that ideology in my head, is that there were different types of workers there.
Yeah.
There were some that were there that were just like computer. There were some that were like handyman, like helmet.
Yeah.
There were some that were clearly like just maintenance shaft, right?
Yeah.
And that idea seems to fit pretty well, especially with that guy who like opens the door.
Yeah.
And then, because I assumed he was going to run through it. He didn't. He just backed up again. Like, why he let me out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, that sounds pretty fair. But what if it was like, oh, he just wanted you to go, hoping that if you open the door, you would go out because you're trying to escape.
Yeah.
That he wouldn't die.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is all part of the meta.
Yeah.
Where it was like, no, the test isn't for the blob to escape. The test is the overarching agenda of the game again. Where it's like, it's the meta. Like, you were supposed to do this, and now that you've done this, you did exactly, they even show you, this was the final objective of the game, when you fall down.
Yeah.
And now that you've done that, here's the objective of the game again.
Well, so then here we come to the last little bit of evidence.
Okay.
Which is your one bit of agency as a player. The one thing that you choose to do that the game never asks of you or ever forces you to do or whatever. I mean, the whole game is your choice, but there's something that you can finish the game without ever touching, and that is the orbs.
Yeah.
Collecting every orb is something that is outside the realm of this test, of the blob's escape. The blob's escape is the goal of the game, and grabbing those orbs has nothing to do with that. It is, in fact, the only thing in the game that has nothing to do with letting the blob escape.
Yeah.
And
when you collected all of them.
Yes, that you get one final choice.
To unplug yourself.
Yes.
It's the mind control.
And refuse to do the test.
Yes.
So I think that is my explanation for why the whole thing is just a test that's run on loop, is because at the end, I think the idea is that if you break away from their test and choose to carve your own path, and instead choose to take agency as the player, then you're rewarded with being done with the test, with basically choosing not to do it. The only choice you're allowed in this game is to choose not to go forward.
See, I guess I kind of agree with that, but not in the sense of it being a test for the blob again. I think this is also a test for the player.
Yeah.
I think this is like, in the meta, it's like, you collected them all. Are you going to play the game again? And it's like, no, because then you'd be doing the objective again.
Right.
So if you go the extra mile, you complete it by getting everything else. It's like, okay, well, collect your prize. It's over. You finish. There's nothing left to do in the game.
Right.
Nothing. No, there's nothing, not one thing to do. We 100%ed it. All objectives, everything.
Right.
It's like, no, okay, you did it. Unplug yourself.
Right.
Like, that's it. The end of the mind control. You did the objective. You did it entirely to the perfect extent that the game could be for us as the consumer buyer in real life.
Yeah.
So the test, not for the blob, is over. Like, not refusing. but it's like, it's completed. Now unplug yourself.
Yeah.
That's the way I interpreted that.
So yeah, so it's so that's basically all the main important things I think with Inside. I don't think I have anything else, but yeah, so there are a lot of things in this game that never get a reasonable explanation as far as I can tell. Like there's the whole, so that's why I think the explanation for what all the challenges were, like the air concussion room, like what was that for? I honestly think most of it was just to test
that one was too big.
That was crazy.
No, that one is way too big. The fact that you can't see what's making it and it's coming from like a mile away.
Yeah.
I don't think that, I don't know. That's like another thing while I'm concerned. Like I know the blob, we're being controlled by the blob to get it out. I think this whole world is messed up for different reasons that they're not going to explain.
Yeah.
I don't think the sonic wave room was something of their design, like the people of the company.
Oh, I see.
I think they're like, whatever that's happening, they're like, something else they probably did makes it so some giant thing happens every couple of seconds somewhere. Because you can't even see where it's coming because it's so far away in the background.
Right, yeah.
It's just coming.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrifying.
Yeah. So yeah, there's stuff like that. We don't know, like, the mer person seems to be one of their experiments. We have the...
And the fact that she, like, disappears after we, like, get the, I don't know, the gills from her or something.
Yeah, so which also makes you wonder, like, every time she drags us under, maybe she's just been trying to help us the whole time. But probably not.
Because even that, right? Where was that kid from? Well, you think that was, from your theory, do you think that was another attempt?
That could be. There are also other slaves, although all the other slaves we see are, like you said, so, well, actually, honestly, yes. Every other slave we meet is an adult, with the exception of the mer kids. Or even the one mer kid, for all we know. It's unclear. But the mer kid looks just like you, right? I mean, when you end up in the blob room...
really long hair.
Again, who knows how long this has been running for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, they could be, I don't know, you know? It's one of those things where it's like, maybe that is another version of the kid. The special, the one kid. But yeah, I mean... So yeah, I think those are the main areas though. There's the air concussion room, the mermaid, and then there's also, there's the mind control devices that are kind of randomly placed around. Like, why would they be placed there? You know, everything's just so neatly done because it's a video game. It should be neatly done. It should be very well designed like this. But then it makes you wonder in the grander scheme of things, like, well, maybe it was too intentional. Maybe that's the plot of the game, is that it was all intentional. It's all an intentional test.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, like, dead bodies in around a lot of the puzzles, too. Like,
yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, and they could just be, like, you know, other tests or whatever. Who knows? But anyway, I think that's all the things I have to say about the plot of Inside, at least. So do we want to get into our final score here?
Final score? Yeah, is there anything you did not like about this game?
Okay. I don't like how slow you move a lot of times. So oftentimes I feel like when you mess up, it can take a long time to reset on a puzzle. Mm-hmm. So I feel like even once you figure out what to do, just the fact that you move slow and you move other things slow, I think it's because of like physics reasons. They wanted everything to feel very like grounded. I wouldn't say that I'd change it. I'm just saying it's something that did bug me as we made it through this whole game. Was just like, I kind of wish there was like a sprint button or something, you know, just kind of a way to move a little faster, just because a lot of time. But I think they do kind of want to they want you to take in the atmosphere.
They absolutely do, because when the dogs kick in, you auto sprint.
Right.
You know, you book it, and you book it fast. Yes. So it's like, no, I think I'm honestly fine with the speed, because it does give you time to bring in all the creepy. I think that's the point. I think you're supposed to feel constantly uncomfortable by seeing everything. Yeah. So that way you always feel on your toes to, again, never question the objective of what you're doing. Right.
Yeah. They want you to look around. They want you to be immersed in the atmosphere. And that's, I think, a lot of the reason why they have everything be very physics based and stuff. There's no very video gamey things that happen. Like, everything feels very realistic, whatever.
Yeah, nothing's like instantaneous for the sake of like big stimulation.
Right.
It's like, no, this thing's gonna fall over slowly as it would in real life.
Right.
Like,
exactly. Yeah. I think the whole point of that is to make sure that you're deep in the game, whatever,
constantly under concentration.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think it's good. Do you have any negatives about the game?
Honestly, no.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Well, so, okay, I think we should give our score, and then I kind of want to say, so if anyone's read the comment section, I left a reply to a comment on part 1 of this series. Well, so that's the thing. I want to give my score first before I re-say what I said at the reply. So do you want to give yours, or should I say mine? You should say yours, because I have a whole thing behind mine.
Final score.
Yes.
A.
Okay. I'm also giving this an A.
This is the first unanimous A, right?
Yes.
And it's the only A, right?
I believe it is the only A on this channel. I think I might have given Wolfenstein New Order, I might have given that an A, but I think I gave that an A-. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I even gave Miles Morales an A-.
Right.
I thought that was fantastic.
So here's the thing. I think Inside is the closest. We don't have A+ on this channel, but if A+ did exist, this is the only game I could think about giving it to. This game is the closest I've ever seen to perfect. In a way that, like, the reply that I left to the comment was that this is 100% a game that I would expect to see in a university video game design course. Just, if the professor didn't bring up this game as an example of design done to a nearly flawless, if not completely flawless extent, then I couldn't imagine bringing anything else up that would be better. This is
especially because this is
unbelievable.
Like, in itself, even as a to use this to teach, like future students. So like this, I don't know if you want to like copy the style, but I mean, how should I say this? Half-Life 2 was always the benchmark for like environmental storytelling.
Yeah.
But I don't know how this even comes relatively close. That's just a story where they just don't tell you anything.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or compared to this.
Yeah.
Where this is like, no, it's like a much deeper narrative in
like
itself.
Storytelling.
It's like, it's storytelling. Yeah. And there's nothing. There's nothing to, it's absolutely.
Now, here's the other question, though.
No, it's hard to explain.
Did this breach your top 20?
This breach my top 20? No.
This did not breach my top 20 either.
Yeah.
Which I think is worth mentioning. Even though I'd give this game an A, 100%, I'd probably put it, like, if I were to, like, list stuff, I'd probably put this below, like, I don't know, what's a game that's really bad that I like? Like, I don't know, like Vanquish I might even put higher on, like,
Sonic
games
Heroes
I enjoy.
yeah,
exactly.
I love Sonic Heroes.
It's just not, it's not the most enjoyable game of all time.
It's not. This is absolutely, in fact, I'd go as far to say that I don't think this is a video game. This is more of an art piece.
Exactly. This game is so artistic.
And sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you look at this in the same way that sometimes you can look at like the Emoji Movie and be like, yeah, that's a movie. And then you could, you could look at like, like a cinematic masterpiece, right?
Yeah.
And then that really pulls on your heartstrings and makes you feel like pain and all these different emotions that maybe you in your own personal life like reminisce with, so you have like a deeper feeling to like whatever the director's like implied emotions were.
Right.
And I think this is that, right? Where this absolutely doesn't have the same feeling as Vanquish. This is not a video game.
Right,
I think this just happens to be a piece of medium. The medium in which this art is displayed to you just happens to be interactive.
Yes, this is, I feel like this is more an interactive art piece than it is a classic video game.
Yes.
A classic sense of a video game. Even though like so many classic video game things are here, it's a side-scrolling 2.5D platform puzzle, thriller, horror game, whatever.
Yeah, put box down to climb on top
exactly,
of. Dogs chase,
Right.
It's nothing outside the realms of, it's not what they're working with that makes it, it's what the end result was.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so important, like you said, to note, like, would you fix anything in this game? That's a different question, right? You asked me if I had any problems with this game. Different question, would you fix anything in this game? Because I would say, for me, absolutely not. I think this game is, it's a matter of, like, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm saying, like, this didn't make my top 20. It's like, oh, what could it do to make your top 20? And it's like, probably be a worse game. Like, it's like, it'd have to, like, ruin something.
I think what they could have done, honestly, and this is just nitpicking because I'm trying to find something to
Go
change,
for it.
is I would have made the trees in the very beginning and the very end
the same type?
Much more vibrant.
Oh, I see.
I would have, because the game, even now, this is the beginning. This is gray. Like, the whole game is gray. The whole game is absolutely a whole lot of gray going on.
Right.
And I have no issue with that. I do have issues, since we're breaking from outside to inside to go back to outside.
Right.
It would have been much more impactful since the whole game hasn't been pretty.
Yes.
Intentionally. Like, it's not that it's ugly. It's just that it hasn't been pretty by design.
Well, so, yeah,
if you had escaped and it was like this beautiful, lush, like...
But that's the thing. I think that's intentional, because you didn't escape. That's what I was saying with my explanation, is you never escape. Even now, you're not in yet. You've been in the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole game is inside.
Yeah.
From beginning to end. Even when you think you've escaped at the end of the game, you're still inside.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the metaphor for the escape of the quote-unquote inside, I would have preferred if the trees, and this is me trying to nitpick because I couldn't find anything bad. It's just something I would have changed. Because your question was, what I would have changed?
Yeah. No, I was just providing a counterpoint to anyone hearing that and wondering, like, yeah, why didn't I say? But I think that could have been intentional, even to that degree. It could have been intentional if they left it this drab at this point and at the end, is because you're supposed to get that out of it. You're supposed to you're supposed to pick up on the fact that it's like you didn't escape. That's why it's not green. That's why it still looks drab. It's because it is still drab. You're still trapped.
Well, what about now?
Even now, well, so this thing, we got the secret ending. I would love it. That is one thing I would change, is after you get the secret ending, something should change. I don't like that after you've gotten the secret ending, the game just starts over like every other time it starts over.
Yeah.
Instead, I would have had it like now if the world was a little brighter, like in the Spider-Man, if like the brightness would change and like everything was, a little bit more vibrant. That would be cool to signify that you truly escaped. You truly chose the path of not doing what they want.
This screen in general was just a happy forest.
Yeah.
And then like as soon as you like clicked it, like even if you pressed the button to start the game, if like the color faded back out to this gray.
Yeah.
And then it started again. Because you were by choice wanting to enjoy the game again.
Yes.
But like just as like a metaphor for you beat the quote unquote inside.
Right.
The
so
game,
that is what I would change. Is there's no benefit other than lore.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no distinction. There's nothing to show that you've completed the game. Right. As a completionist, you have if you've seen this, if you're looking at the screen right now, this looks literally no different from when we started.
Yep.
And something has changed in that not only have we finished the game, even like I said, I would be happy if they didn't change it if you finished it. If you finish the game, I think nothing should change. I think it should be telling you something's not right. You haven't done it yet. But I think once you've completed it, and once you've gotten all the orbs, and once you've found the secret, and once you've, unplugged yourself, I think something should change, especially on this title screen to signify that you are no longer inside, that you jacked out of the Matrix. I think that would be a nice touch. The fact that they have it's very little, like nothing happens after you get the secret ending.
Nothing.
That's unfortunate to me.
I mean, that's the metaphor though. It's supposed to be over, right?
Right,
secret
exactly.
It's done.
But even then, this screen should be like all black then, or literally anything to signify
anything else at all. So I mean,
like after it faded to black, the inside logo should have popped up and it should have just stayed black.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect ending to me. If it like didn't even let you play after that, like you jacked out and like that's it. You have to like quit out of the game and go back in.
Doki Literature Club.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Doki Literature Club.
I don't want to spoil that game though.
Oh man. Okay. Without saying what happens.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just gonna make it real quick. So the next 30 seconds, skip now. Once you beat that game, the file, you have to go in and delete the file to beat the game.
Yeah.
So that game is unplayable. You have to deinstall it and reinstall it again.
Right. Exactly. That's what for this game. Even if you don't want to go that extreme, because this game's like much older than Doki Doki, and like Undertale, I think was one of the first games to like actually change the game as you played it. Like the files changed. Yeah. One thing that I would have liked to see in Inside though is just once you got the secret ending, it should have gone to back, and then Playdead's Inside showed up, and then you couldn't play the game until you closed it and then reopened it, and then you could just play it like normal.
Yeah.
That would have been fine. Like that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking to like tank the file and have you like uninstall it. Like that would have been a lot for this.
Or like when it said like Playdead's Inside, and it was just like all black, and the only option it gave you was exit.
Yes, that would exactly. Yeah. That would have been perfect. Or even if it auto quit, like that again. None of these were things when Inside came out. Playdead's Inside. But even as simple as just having an end screen. End screens have been around forever, even if you look like NES, SNES games, whatever. Yeah. If you got to the end of the game, it would just stop. Like when we beat Mega Man X, there's nothing else you could do. You had to turn off the console and turn it back on in order to play the game again. And they should have done that here, I think. And that is the one thing I have that I wish they had done differently, for sure. Yeah. And that's even, I would say that is a complaint. I'd say that's why that's not a perfect game, or at least not for me.
I mean, I don't even think that's a complaint. Again, like when I said that, I was like, I just wish that the trees were greener to signify. That's all. But I mean, that's me nitpicking. I honestly didn't think there was anything wrong with the game. It's just what I would have chose as difference. Yeah, I mean, this game is the kind of game where playing it through a second time is kind of redundant.
Yes, as you saw when I was just sitting here next to Adam, like most of the puzzles I figured out pretty instantly, and it's been years. Like I played through this or saw it, or I don't know what I did when it first came out in like 2017. So it's been like 4 years, and I still remembered every puzzle, like almost every puzzle.
So that's what I'm saying. Playing through this game is redundant. So,
that's why we got all the orbs on our first way through, and I made sure that we did, because I didn't want Adam to have to go through playing through it again, because I think it loses a lot of its
loses nearly. I mean, that's just the same with most games when you play them in general, right? The second time you play through, unless it's like you played through it, spam through cutscenes the first time, and now you're going back.
Well, it doesn't help that this is also like very, very short, right?
Very, very short. Yeah, it's very, very impactful. Like it's supposed to draw to your heartstrings.
Right.
So
you're supposed to finish and then just be like, like
it's
relieved.
An experience, and once you have an experience once, you're never going to have that first experience again.
Right.
And thankfully, even though I did know the endings, that did not impact all the journey.
Yeah, I was very worried about that when you found out. I knew that you'd seen the endings. I was like, oh, I hope you still have a good time, because this is
fantastic.
It's very important.
So this is the first A for the channel, and unanimously an A.
Solid A.
I also think this might be the first time, besides the Spider-Mans, because we didn't complete those together.
Yeah.
That we came to the same conclusion, right? Aren't we usually like 1 point up or down from each other?
Yeah.
Pretty consistently.
Yeah. Usually we'll be a half point off, and then usually I'll end up switching, because I'm usually between 2 points, and then I'll list the one that you don't list, and then I'll be like, but I can honestly depend. Like the Mega Man X one was like I gave it I wanted to
give it a higher score, and I wanted to give
it a B minus, but I was taking into account that you had save states, and I was like, oh wait, the original game, that's not part of the game at all. I was like, you're right. No, this should be like a less than that.
Yeah.
What do we give it? A C plus or a C?
C plus.
Yeah. Okay. C plus. Yeah. There's like C plus. You're right. If we're not counting save states, C plus definitely.
Yeah.
I was thinking like with save states, but that's not the game.
No.
That's us cheating. But no, Inside, yeah, absolutely. It's an A. I think it 100% deserves that score, more so than any other game I've played. And it's not a matter of it being, like I said, it's not a matter of being fun. It's never going to be in my top 20. That's not the kind of game it is. It deserves an A because it's like such a masterfully crafted experience that like I recommend. I would even say that like I could recommend watching this if you don't want to buy it. And it's like, there's a lot here that it's just kind of, because it is kind of experience, but like, you do miss the fact that it's like, the whole point is that like you are playing the game.
Yeah.
You know, you miss that. But if you're already here, then you're not going to get that if you like decide to play through it yourself. You know, it's going to be this.
It's too late. Once you experience the whole game once in any fashion, it might not feel the same.
Exactly.
You already had the experience.
Exactly. This game is a very crafted experience. And so it's one of those like, if you played it before coming to watch us, then that would probably be the best case scenario. But if you didn't, then you've experienced it and we've experienced it and
together.
And that's what's important. So that's it for Inside. I hope you all enjoyed. I don't know what we're doing next. I don't think we've decided.
We haven't. I just wanted to say that hit me in the brain right now.
Oh, go for it.
That this game has done something interesting that hasn't happened to me for a while, right?
Okay.
Where, again, like I said, this game isn't a game, it's art.
Yes.
I haven't felt this way. Can you guess what's the last game that tickled me in such a way?
That felt like art?
Where I felt like this game, and this, I think this is a good game.
Yeah.
The other game is honestly considered not so much of a good game.
Okay.
Intentionally.
Okay.
It's intentionally designed bad with, I guess, improving mechanics over time, but it in itself is an art piece.
DLC Quest?
No.
Oh, you need to play DLC Quest on the channel.
I mean, it's like literally this, but at this one where I feel like this, like, I don't know, like this opened my eyes metaphorically to what like the great understanding of game development is versus like what you perceive as control and choice in a game.
I don't know.
The other one made me feel
MGSV?
like... No, it was The Last Guardian.
Oh, okay.
The Last Guardian is a real gut puncher that plays with your I don't know, your ability to attach to things that aren't real.
What year did The Last Guardian come out?
I want to say 16.
That'd be crazy if it was like, because honestly, I don't know a game that's been this artsy. Oh, there's Grow Up. Grow Up is actually and there's the stuff like That Dragon Cancer and Bound and Sea of Solitude, but none of those have the like level of deep cut like designer feel that Inside does. Inside like hit different. I don't know. They pull no punches.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for The Last Guardian in case we somehow do end up playing it on the channel, because it might be...
That'd be fun.
Really... Oh, wow, it actually got an 82% on Metacritic.
Oh, damn.
I thought everyone didn't like it as much. Why did I look this up? December of 2016. So it was just on the butthole, just a little bit before.
It's right up in there. Way up in there, Morty.
Yeah.
I think... this is a Rick and Morty reference, by the way. I think the reason why you get that impression, I kind of have the similar impression, is I think everyone was just so excited for the sequel to Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
That when The Last Guardian turned out to be like just a good game and not an outstanding kill your parents game, like then,
outstanding kill your parents game.
Yeah. Then I think like everyone sort of was like, like it's good, but
especially because it was absolutely not at all related. I mean, they might take place in the same universe.
Yeah. Unclear.
But the tones of the game are entirely different.
Yeah.
And I think Shadow of the Colossus is also in itself an art piece, but that is way more of a video game.
Yeah.
That's absolutely a video game that just has a real big, like, metaphoric draw at the end of it.
Right.
Whereas The Last Guardian, it also has like a whole bunch of like platforming and stuff and like little puzzles to solve, just like Inside does.
Right.
But that one also, I don't want to spoil things.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get into it. But I mean, one that I can spoil is like Grow Up and Grow Home. They don't have that level of like you playing the game as like part of the game. But Grow Home, at least, the first game, and even Grow Up. I mean, they're more technical achievements where you're playing through it and you're just like, I at least was very amazed that they managed to pull off a game like that, even though it's all very low poly. That's not the part of it that's impressive. It's just the technical design of everything. Did very well. And so it's just a fact of it's like, it's kind of an experience of like, there's no enemies, there's no death, there's no negative emotions associated with it. It's not like Stardew Valley where you're like, oh, I just go and like freaking farm for
hit
hours
stuff with an axe. Yeah
It's more like you are just achieving a very simple and very in-your-face goal of like growing a plant, and you just kind of climb and make your way up to the top, and it's just kind of like it's very simple. You just kind of growing home. And so, I mean, there's other games like Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, which is arguably the same thing, but like that's more rage-inducing.
I think that's absolutely just a game and no art whatsoever. I mean, it in itself is art because I think it's a test of
I feel like it's a lot of art.
How much how much human perseverance or how much competition is willing to drive you to put up with something.
Right. It's like kind of, I feel like it is.
We're talking about so many other games.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like this game, again, is like such a masterclass of game design that like it invokes topics of like other games that like, I don't know.
Provokes discussion.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how much time we spent.
Does this have a physical release?
We spent like at least 30 minutes. So if it ever has gotten a physical release, I believe it's either been through Limited Run or through Indie Box. But I don't believe it originally released with a physical edition.
A shame. I'm gonna have to go track down something.
I feel the same way. I would love a physical copy of Inside. It is one of those games that's just like art. Like I got a physical copy of Gris, which I really want to play on the channel. I have not yet, but I just love the art of it. That I wanted a physical copy for that reason.
There was a physical edition that came out, and it is both Limbo and Inside.
Ah, the French.
Wait,
Limbo's also
with. Wait, what is this? No, never mind. No, this is just a disc or a case. Reproduction. Oh wait, what is that? No, I think this did come out.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
That's cool.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to look.
But anyways,
But anyway,
I think,
yeah. So this is one of those games that a physical copy would be cool, just because the game means so much. Let's go in. All right, I think we are pretty much done here, though.
Yeah.
Okay. I doubt we'll ever play Limbo on. I don't know. We might play Limbo on the channel at some point. I might have Abum play through Limbo. The only problem is Limbo's a lot more puzzly.
I'll play through. Abum will play through Limbo if you play through Last Guardian.
I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really really like the aesthetic of that game.
That game's really hard to play. It's harder to play than it is to watch.
No, I know. I went over your house and played like a little bit, and like by played a little bit, I mean I spun in circles. Delayed TV.
Yeah, my parents' big 4K delayed TV.
That
so
was
maybe
horrible.
This will be better.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping the game's not as bad as it was there, because that was a worst case scenario. That was like a solid like half-second delay, but it wasn't that bad.
It looks pretty though.
yeah, it looked good. But this looks good now. This has 0 delay.
Yeah.
So that is. I would love to play Last Guardian on the channel. That'd be awesome. And then I would love for you to play Limbo. But the problem is that Limbo is more puzzly, so it'd be a lot more. And I haven't seen through the whole game or anything, so I don't really know all the puzzle answers. But I do know it's a lot more like you actually have to be like, all right, what is the solution to this puzzle?
That's still fun.
And there's a lot of like platforming challenge in that game. That game's a lot more of a precision platformer type of game too. So it's just a lot harder overall compared to this game. This game's a lot more of an experience. Like they want you to progress. It's not, it's not so much it's not the same thing at all. And even like Shadow of the Colossus, we could play through at some point. What's the first one in that series? Eco. We could play through all 3. I don't know. Let us know. Hopefully, if you guys stuck around for this little discussion, I would love to read what you guys think of what we said and what you think for yourselves, of course.
Looking at you, Mostafa. Okay, I gotta go though.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been nice knowing you guys. We will see you in whatever we play next. We're unsure what that is right now, but it's been great. I've been ZoinkMeister Patrick. He's been ZoinkMeister Adam, and we are Zoinked Out.
Zoinked Out.
Remember to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and
This was brought to you by RidgeCon, the new wallet for your ears.